Do you ever wish you could erase a game from your memory so you could experience it for the first time again? I know I do, but unfortunately, we can't do that. No matter how much you try, you'll never recapture that feeling. That feeling when you finish one of those masterpiece games and the credit music hits and you knew you just experienced something really special. I wanted to talk a bit about this when it comes to the Shadow of the Erdtree DLC. For a lot of us, this will be a return to the lands between, and for some lucky ones, it will be their first adventure through the fog to the land of the Erdtree. Listen, hundreds of games are released worldwide every week. The hobby and industry as a whole is more popular now than it has ever been. With that comes a sea of releases that are about as shallow as a puddle. But there are some released each year that stand apart, that stands the test of time, that will be talked about for years and decades to come. I feel confident placing Elden Ring amongst those landmark games. Those masterclass gems that people who haven't even played any Souls game or action game to hear about it and think, I gotta check this out. Call it lightning in a bottle or whatever you want. When Elden Ring launched, it felt like a magical time to be a gamer. I know I wasn't ready for an experience like that first playthrough, but it has stuck with me ever since. And that's what I want to talk about. How I'm going into the DLC and how I want my experience to be. I'm going to preface this video by saying that this is just how I want to experience this upcoming release. You do whatever you want and what you think will net you the most enjoyment. If you have not played through the base game, then congrats. Very little of this is going to apply to you. My only advice is to take your time in the game, try to keep from looking things up too much, and be patient. Elden Ring isn't as difficult as gaming journalists would have you believe, so have fun with it. But for the rest of us, let's talk about how I'm going into Shadow of the Erdtree. A quick PSA. I know I said do whatever you want to do for your enjoyment. I know not everyone is going to want to go back through the base game like I'm going to. That's completely fine. But there is one thing that I'm going to stress. Do not buy runes. I couldn't believe this when Elden Ring launched, but it is still very much a thing that people are using real world money to buy runes. My fellow Tarnished, I implore you to reconsider. There are so many free resources out there to acquire runes if your time is extremely limited. Use Cheat Engine on PC. Dupe runes with a friend or random on PlayStation. Xbox, get a PC and put Cheat Engine on it. There are plenty of options out there. Go to Patches Emporium on Reddit and make a post there. Join a content creator's Discord. Join one of these Reddit's Discords and ask. People are more than willing to help out there. You're essentially giving money for nothing. So reach out to the community in these appropriate venues and you will receive some assistance. By planning ahead, I mean plan your build out. Your build is the framework by which you will build the rest of your experience through. My first playthrough, I went all in on a pure strength build, wielding a great sword with Bloodhound Step in my main hand and a grafted sword in my offhand. My Tarnished was a disgusting jump attacking maniac that could not be stopped. Generally in Souls games, I will go with a strength build. The weapons lean more into the methodical playstyle I enjoy for a first go and offer a lot of utility in Elden Ring. But this left me missing out on a ton, and I mean a ton of options. The game doesn't tell you to do anything really, but you can see so many weapons that drop that have odd stat spreads. Int Dex, Dex Faith, Int Faith, you get it. So this time I'm going to add just a dash of faith to my strength build. There are really good pure faith damaging spells in the game, but I'm primarily going with the strength build. I feel like the bestial incantations will pair perfectly. The spells deal non-elemental damage, so I have some range options, which my first build was lacking. You get healing over time, and a bunch of other spells that I could pick up if I want to. And the questline to get these bestial incantations tie into a questline that I like a lot with those who live in death, so I will definitely be doing them. Since Miyazaki said that we would have to defeat Radahn and Mohg, I'm planning to stop leveling my character at 125. I know for a lot of people that is too low or too high or whatever, but on my first playthrough when I defeated Moog, I was at level 128, a generous stopping point. As far as the stat spread, it's gonna look a bit like this, which has the first soft cap for two-handing weapons with strength, and the minimum faith for all the beast spells. I might tweak this as I go, but I feel like it's pretty solid for what I want. Really, when I'm planning a build, I pick a few weapons to center my build around, make sure I have the minimum stats for it, where it's located, and kind of do a little collecting before I get the game started proper. Have a couple non-somber weapons, but as far as somber weapons go, I'm not really sure what I'm gonna pick. I don't know, you let me know what's a good strength faith weapon, maybe I'll check it out. I feel like getting the actual planning out of the way is important for me to sit back and enjoy my time in game a bit more. The thinking is out of the way, so all I have to do is absorb this world again. I'm not going to do a mad dash to 125 and then blow through the game. That's just where I plan to eventually organically end up. I haven't decided where I'm going to stop the game's progression. I'm still debating if I'll go past the fire giant or not. I'm leaning towards stopping at the fire giant and leaving the Erdtree intact and defeating Moog. I might want to grab a few things from various areas here and there, but really I want to get this pre-planning out of the way so I can do something I haven't done since the game launched. Just play the game. I really want to take my time after getting a weapon or two and really going through the game like it's a fresh experience because, well, it is. It has been such a long time since I have done this, but I want to explore each area, uncover the dungeons again, revisit hidden paths and all that, get absorbed back into the world of Elden Ring. There is a burning itch to have first person in the DLC, and I'm gonna be there day one. There's just no way I can't, but before that, I'm going to really take my time leading up to it, because as much as I would like to be the first person to get in and see all this stuff and crank out content about it, there's just no way in hell I'm gonna be the first, and neither are you. There are whole teams of people out there that make it their jobs to be first and report first, so it's an exercise in futility to be the first. For me, my experience is going to be very much the journey, not the destination. I want to talk briefly about the PvP in Elden Ring. I plan to make a more expanded video about the topic before the DLC releases, but in short, give PvP a try. I know that there's this stigma around PvP in Souls games that if you invade another person's world and kill them, then you're an evil red phantom that's ruining another player's fun. And I don't know, PvP is fun. Now in Elden Ring, there are tons of ways to try it out. You can invade, you can have your buddies summoned and have phantoms invade you. There are the Colosseums if you want a more controlled experience, but really, invading is such a unique mechanic to FromSoft games, and it would be a real shame that while player count is higher, you miss out on at least giving it a fair shake. From my experience in invading, there is very little toxicity when it comes to the interaction. I feel like for the player base at large, the toxicity comes from the game itself. It's the resummoning of your friends that's really frustrating, and I get that. I totally understand. You take the time to get two of your buddies or two randoms into your world, a red phantom that's more experienced in PvP gets the better of you and defeats all of you, and then you have to go through the trouble of resummoning. If I have one wish for From Software for the DLC, it's to make static multiplayer groups. If you summon by a password, when you all die, you should all resummon at the grace. I don't see why this isn't possible. You can do it in seamless co-op, and that is by far, other than being able to ride Torrent out in the open, by far the best feature. PvP is an intended game mechanic. The game was designed with this in mind. And there's no harm in it. Just give it a try, you might have a lot of fun with it. I know I was a huge PvP hater for the longest time, I just never touched it until Elden Ring, and I had a ton of fun with it. Are there a ton of balancing problems? Yes. Are there connection issues? Hell yes. Are there cheaters? Sometimes. Are there people who are toxic? Of course, there's people that are toxic in every game. But I really feel like this resummoning aspect of Elden Ring is where all the frustration comes from. I look at it like a game like Valorant or League of Legends or something like that. Like, you have no problem busting into a room in Call of Duty and blowing up like 5 different people. Nobody calls that toxic. But they do in Elden Ring and Souls games, because that isn't the sole focus. It's so unique, people have a very hard time accepting it. But like I said, I'm gonna save this for another video. With all this being said, just remember to have fun, enjoy the journey, because you won't get another chance to re-experience this the same way again. Until next time, Tarnished.